So Keith, welcome.
Hello.
How
nice
are
to
you,
be
sir?
here. Yes.
Good to see you.
Yes, thank you.
But we already met this morning, so I won't say it's good to meet you. But yeah, how's it going for you?
Really good.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting things on the floor. Excited about
yeah.
MODEX and seeing what we have this year.
Definitely, absolutely. So you're with Contextant, you're co-founder over there. So tell us a little bit about Contextant and what it is that you guys do.
Sure. Contextant, we are in warehouse automation and WMS space. Our primary focus is integration and multi-agent orchestration. So how do I connect my WMS to my automation? We're that glue in the middle. So the way I like to think about it is a left side and the right side of the equation.
Okay.
And we're the plus sign, right? A plus B.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's good. The plus sign, division sign, multiplication sign, right? Because they want to 10x it, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting. And I'm curious, from your perspective as we look at, obviously you said there's a lot of exciting things here to see, right? A lot of shiny objects, we could say, right? But how important is it to, if I'm coming at this and I'm looking at this show and I want to say, this looks really cool, I need to get this into my operation, and then I try and figure it out on my own, it's probably not going to go so well, right? So how important is it to have kind of that plus sign or the multiplication sign in between that you guys provide? I mean, why does it make sense to get that integrator or consultant?
I think from the customer standpoint, a lot of times they're looking like tactical, right? I just need to do this one-off custom integration, and they could spend a lot of money doing that, and they're not really understanding their automation roadmap. Like, what do I need to do over the long term? And do I need to have a platform? In Contextant, we offer that, partnering with SVT, a platform that basically lets me get time to value, right? I'm able to hit the ground running. I don't care if I have, on the left side of the equation, I have 10, 20-year-old systems. And we do run into a lot of customers that way. They feel like they're blocked, right, from even deploying automation because they have these old systems. But that's not the case. So you need to find a partner that understands that, and really at the end of the day, it's a partner that understands the problem, right? A good technology solution for you to hit the ground running fast, grow, and what that solution or that technology, what impact is that going to have on your business, on your operations? Yeah,
and I think that's so important too, to be able to understand that, especially work with someone that has that knowledge, right, and has done these projects before, and who knows, especially as you're just like starting to maybe get into automation or robotics and being able to understand that. I mean, I'm curious from that perspective too. I mean, how do you see and what are some of maybe the first initial challenges that you see are maybe most common or stand out the most as people begin this automation journey?
So from our perspective, focusing on integration and multi-agent orchestration is that integration. And so they're stuck on that piece, right? So I have my WMS, I have, and it's archaic, or it might be a big box, big brand WMS. And I've already invested in this automation. We've actually had some customers buy the automation and then figure out, like, collecting dust, like, how do I connect this stuff?
How do I make it work? Yeah.
So they're kind of going out of sequence. But that's kind of the way from our perspective, it is solving for integration first. So that's not an issue for you. Allows you to focus on the business problems and putting that all together. And the orchestration piece too, if I have multiple pieces of automation, how am I going to get those two pieces to talk to each other and work together, two different vendors, right, and to complete tasks in the warehouse? And how do I build upon that? And I always say, you can't innovate off what you don't have. So you need to start, right? You need to start, and we help customers start with that integration process, then realize that value fast, learn, right? And then you have delivery agility, and then you're back in that loop. Now you're re-innovating, and just keep going, keep getting better.
Interesting, yeah. I think that's so interesting. Like, buy the solution first, and then figure out later, like, how make it work. And I think it's easy to make that mistake. I mean, there's so many cool things out there, right? That it is like, like this could like do so much for me, and like let's get it, and then you bring it in, and you're like, we didn't realize we had to do that, and then we had to do this, and then our data has to be good, and all these things, right? So I mean, what would you say for somebody like maybe that's coming to a MODEX, right? Like how should they set their expectation, or how should they prep themselves to be able to, you know, maybe not make that mistake?
Yeah, I mean, you come here and you're drinking from a fire hose. I mean, there's so much.
That's crazy.
You know, one of the things we always tell customers, it's like, okay, you're in a class, like say you're looking at AMRs, you know, and you've seen this year after year at MODEX, you see new players and you see consolidations, and then some players go away.
Yeah.
So how do you protect yourself from that?
Yeah.
So there's like this total cost of change that you need to prepare for when you're going into warehouse automation. There's a lot of venture capital money in here. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Even those companies are collapsing their portfolio. You just need to be prepared to address that, and be prepared to address the pace of technology, things that you're going to advance at, right? So do you have a platform that can manage that? Like, I'm going to get upgrades on my warehouse automation. Can I get the value out of that, get utilization of that new feature with what I have? A lot of customers do custom integrations. They kind of get themselves in that hole, and then they really can't build value off of that because they've, you know, either their IT department or whoever has built this custom integration, and you know, it's not a platform like we have that allows that growth, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes a lot of sense, and you know, being able to make sure you're able to fill the gaps that you really need to fill is so important. So I mean, as we look at the show, and like you said, you know, it's like a fire hose, right? I mean, there's so much going on here, like, you know, so many different solutions for, you know, the similar problems, but different like form factors and the way to look at it, and then new solutions too that are addressing like these, which I think is really exciting. It's like these little kind of in-between processes almost like now, and we're seeing that focus from technology coming to all the different parts of like the warehouse operation and those processes. But as we're looking at MODEX 2024 and you're talking with your clients or potential clients, I mean, what do you see is kind of most top of mind for them? What kind of solutions are they most interested in, or what's their biggest problems?
So solutions vary. The biggest problems are two. The first one is, how do I get started?
Yeah.
And this is what we talked about, especially so the larger companies, the Fortune 200, they have systems that they have either acquired through acquisition, like warehouses, businesses that they've acquired, and we got to integrate, we got to consolidate. How do I get started with all this technical debt, this old luggage that I got to get working, and get that so my supply chain, my operations side can start working out. I always like to think of the left side of the equation as chaos and crazy, right? Which is the business side of it, and then to harmony is kind of the right side. Let's start focusing on what I'm doing in my warehouse, my operation, how I'm leveraging automation, and we're the glue again in the middle, and we just shield the customer from that because we have consistent interfaces in, which we connectors, and it's consistent data model. You're only speaking one language to the automation. Yeah. And then the second one is getting back to this change. I got to change something, and we go in. It's like, well, how do you do it now? We have this custom integration, and it only works with X, Y, Z. It's like, well, it's going to be an impact, but we can get you there, and cloud-based. You don't need to rely on IT. We can get you there from the standpoint, also from an orchestration standpoint. You can build the orchestrations in a low-code environment. We actually had a customer, they had their warehouse business analysts build all the orchestration in the low-code part, and then we had a dev come in and kind of fill in the pieces to connect to the automation and basically allow two pieces of automation to work together to complete a warehouse task. It was pretty cool.
Very interesting, yeah, and I think it's always good to understand like what problems are people having now, and I think it's great that you were able to highlight those, and then we can kind of take it and say like, okay, how can we really address these and make it better for the industry overall. So very interesting to talk to you here today, Keith, and definitely appreciate you stopping by the booth and telling us all about Contextant and some of the problems that are out there and how you're solving them, and fantastic that you are the plus sign and the multiplication sign in the equation. Great way to remember you. What's your website? What's the best way to learn more?
Yep, it's www.contextant.com.
All right, there we go.
Appreciate it. All right, thank you,
sir.
Kevin.
All right,
have
good
a
to
one.
talk to you. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.